Alright, so I'm back, and today we are going to be doing a Seeker War. Just to kind of relook at all the different types of Seekers I have, and comparison between all of them to kind of, I guess, decide which one is the best for whatever purposes you have for the Seekers. Because there are a number of Seekers, and I actually don't even have nearly all of them. I don't have the Armada, both the Armada Seekers or the Generation Armada Seeker. I also don't have the Generations Fall of Cybertron Seekers. Let's see, there's movie Seekers, like 4 different types of movie Seekers. There's animated, there's Prime, there's so many different Seekers out there. But we're going to be looking at 5 different ones, and I think, for the most part, 4 of them are the more important ones. From the Legends scale, we got Acid Storm here. He's going to be the representative of the Legends scale. So, and I'm going to try and not focus on, like, I really don't like this figure in particular because of the rubber bits, but I don't recall the Starscream being this way, so I'm not going to try and focus on faults of the particular figure I have, but just the overall design. So I'll try to do that the best I can, but no guarantees on that one, because some things really irritate me on certain things. Of course, we have the Classics scale. Again, this is going to be represented by Acid Storm. Now, I don't have his original missile launchers anymore, so all I have is the Guilty Hunger Null Rays. So, I'll forgive him for that, because that's my fault, not his. But and he is a floppy mess, but that's because of the I don't know, something happened with him during transit. I think just really messed him up. But he shall represent our Classics scale. We then have the Mastermind Creations Hearts of Steel Seeker. This is going to be Thundercracker, obviously. We got the Eye-Gear Seekers. Really cool. And last, and certainly not least, we've got the, I didn't have it fully transformed right. The Masterpiece mold. And this is the new Masterpiece mold. I'm not counting the original Masterpiece mold in this, because that one had tons of faults, and we just really don't need to even talk about that. Alright, so to start things off, we're going to go with Jet Mode, and in this one I'm actually going to be including a new type of review when I do these ratings, and that is a minus point. If they do something so bad, they're going to get a minus. Now, so first off, we're going to talk about Jet. Now, when we talk about Jet, I'm talking about in comparisons to the original cartoon. The original, G1 cartoon Starscream Seeker mold style. So, instantly right off the bat, this is the F-22. This is not the F-15 Eagle. So this does not get a point. Now, I'm not going to give him a minus point because, it is a modern jet, and I think, I'm pretty sure that this is what Starscream looked like, at least for a little bit, in the new comic books, the new IDW. So it's a modern stylization of this. So he's not going to get a point, but he's also not going to lose a point. So now the little jet here, is kind of F-22 and kind of F-15. He's got like the F-22 stylization going on, but the wings are more like F-15. So it kind of works, but not really. Not for classics look. Now, this thing loses a point. Not because it doesn't look like a F-15, but because it doesn't resemble any real jet. I said this when I did a review. I love the figure, love the mold, but quite honestly, this thing just doesn't make any sense to me. There's no way this thing would ever fly. And if it did, it wouldn't be going very far. And I've said this before. I really wish you could unhook the waist, clip it in the back, and let these things become like tail fins. This thing just is a jumbled mess, and I hate it, to be honest. I hate that jet mode. So, Red Pen, Mastermind Creations loses a point right off the bat. Now, we've got the Classics mold. Now, yes, this is more of a modified F-15. The wings are a little bit different than they should be. I think the nose cone's a little off too. But overall, and definitely landing gear is off. But overall, I mean, it still does represent the Seeker mold from G1 very well. It does a very good job representing the F-15 style look. A little bit stylized, but not so much that it's, a completely different jet or kind of a cross between jets or an incoherent mess. So I'm going to give a point to the classic Seeker mold because it works. It still works for their jet mode. And it will always work on their jet mode. Now, the Masterpiece one, there's no question on whether or not this thing is... this is by far its best mode, in my opinion. The robot mode looks cool, but quite frankly, when this jet is completely put together right, it just kills it. This is the F-15 fighter jet. I mean, exactly what the original Seekers were right off the bat. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah, there are a few liberties taken on the underside. I mean, you can see robot bits and stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, it gets to the point where you can't really do anything more to make this look more like a jet, or like the original jet, without compromising the original, the actual mold. So, Masterpiece also gets a point. So, Masterpiece and Classics are in the lead here. Next one, weapons and accessories. We'll go over this and then we'll get them into bot mode. So, because a lot of the weapons and accessories for these particular figures only work in this mode. Now, he comes with a piece of shit little Waspinator, and the original Waspinator was bad, but his is just so horrendous. I don't even know where I threw that thing in anymore. It's gone. But this thing was such a piece of junk that it just leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah, even the original one, like I said, was bad. The new version of it was just even worse. So, Legends is losing a point for weapons. Now, the Classic Seeker, he came with null rays that were too big. I don't have them. To the point where I actually had to go buy an upgrade kit to get these the Guilty Hunger null rays. The original ones were so big and goofy looking. Let me grab. Here is the G2 Ramjet. I didn't want to use him in this because I wanted more or less the original Seeker mold look. So, in comparison, this is the more accurate one, and even that one's still a little bit too big in comparison to what they originally came with. So, because of the fact that, the null rays worked for them, and the missiles sucked. They worked for them, but they weren't very good. To the point where I actually felt that I needed to buy replacement null rays for them. And that's the only thing that he came with. I actually am going to take a point away from the classics for that. And most people that collect the classics will agree with me on that the null rays, the original null rays that came with the mold, just do not work for this size of a mold. They're not very good. So he loses a point. He doesn't come with anything else. So I'm not going to take a point away from him, but I'm not giving him a point. He can integrate his null rays into his mode, but it's not that important at this point. And then we got Masterpiece. Masterpiece Sunstorm here. I did get I did find all his little parts. I knew they were around somewhere. I haven't even opened these things up. Okay. So, let's see here. Accessory wise, he comes with a yellow Dr. Octaville figure that sits in his cockpit. I'll just say so. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's supposed to be in scale with all the other Masterpiece figures, right? Okay. Now, here's a Masterpiece car. Now, I know I don't have him in vehicle mode, and that would be the best way to show him off, but are you telling me that this guy is the size of a tire? So, this doesn't work. It really kind of just paints that picture of the fact that the Masterpiece Seeker mold is out of scale with the Masterpiece cars. This thing should be almost twice the size that it is right now to make it in the appropriate size scale. Where I don't have scale on there. I need to get scale on my little list. Anyway, the accessory of the Dr. Octaville is a throwaway thing. Now, he also comes with a clip that fits underneath the jet. Alright, so sorry about that. Work calls, and they didn't mean to call. Where did I put that little clip? Awesome. Did I lose that clip in the last 10 seconds? Alright, sorry about that. Work called. And then I lost the little yellow clip that I was talking about. Alright, so what this is this clips in below here. And what it's supposed to do is, if you have the MPO1 Masterpiece Optimus Prime, he comes with a pistol for Megatron in pistol mode. Now, that's all awesome and great and such, but that was the original Masterpiece Optimus Prime that this would clip on to, which is now been replaced by a Masterpiece 10, which doesn't come with that same size gun. So again, I think this is just a throwaway piece. I mean, there's really nothing else you can use this for. So there's that. He also comes with these two missile pods, which look pretty cool, right? Now, problem is there's no place to plug them in unless you actually remove the null rays, which are connected by a ball joint. And I never recommend removing things from ball joints unless you absolutely have to, because of the fact that the more you do it, the weaker it gets. So unless you're willing to continuously dismantle the figure to put these on, again, a worthless accessory. Then he comes with the stand, which you take this and you slide this in like so, I believe. Maybe. Are you not going to slide in there? There we go. So it slides in there. Not very well, apparently. And this is supposed to clip on right here. Let's see if we can get this on there. And yes, we can. Alright, so one out of his, we'll count this as one, 2, 4 different accessories, one of which works. And the other one just, I mean, well, I guess he works, but it's just such a throwaway piece of plastic that it's really not worthwhile. So yeah, it's his accessories suck. Let's get his landing gear out. At least he's got some nice landing gear. Get this stuff out of the way. I don't know where to put Dr. Octaville. So, yeah. So for the Sunstorm, as far as accessories, being packaged with accessories that actually don't work for the figure, I actually have to take a point away from him. Yeah, he'll make it up later, but I mean, literally, they're packaging him with pieces that do not work for this version of the mold. They're packing him just with a straight repaint of the original Masterpiece Seeker mold accessories, which he should not be coming with. Just plain as simple as that. They're just putting the wrong crap in there. Then we have the iGear Seeker. His accessories, he does come with an alternate face, which, depending on if you like it or not, you'd use it. For me, I don't like it, so I'm not going to use it. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's still usable. It just depends on if you want to or not. He also comes with the display stand. This one it just kind of swivels right in the middle. And there's just a 3-way plug right here. And the way you do it is you split the legs here. Right here you can see these 2 little notches right there. That's where the display stand will fit in. And it's a little tight fit to get it in there. Once you get it in there, it does work. You just squeeze the legs together. And there you have him. And he actually, because of the way it's designed, you can sit here and angle it down, angle it straight, however you want to. As long as you got those legs squeezed in right. You can fold up the landing gear here. And, make it look like he's doing a nosedive. It actually does work. The base is well balanced, so you can do that. Like I said, you can also have them going straight up if you prefer that look. You can display them like that. I mean, it works. It's a display stand that works. So I have quite a few of them now because they came with each of the Seekers. So I mean, aside from that, it's a display stand. Like the Masterpiece one, it works. It's not necessary. It's appreciated though. He also came with missile pods, much like the Masterpiece one, but unlike the Masterpiece one, he's actually got enough ports to hold those, and he can actually fit a few more on here. He's got 4 ports on the bottom of each wing. Now, this is not like all the Seekers. The Conehead ones are all a little bit different with their where you can plug things in it. But you can, on him, plug these guys into a number of different plugs. So you have the options of doing both missile pods and null rays under the wings, and depending on how you transform him, you can actually keep the missiles attached to his wings during transformation. So these things work in both modes. So I'm going to be taking them off because they just kind of get in my way, and I'm not a huge fan of them, but they are accessories and they do work, unlike the Masterpiece missile pods. Now the classic one, he does come with missile pods when you buy the Guilty Hunger upgrade kit, but you have to choose null rays or missile pods. So yeah, so iGear gets a point because all of their accessories work. And aside from the head, they work in all modes. I believe you're able to get that stand to work on the robot mode. Alright, so got them all into robot mode. As much fun as that is. Let me pause this for a second. Alright, sorry about that. I wanted to make sure I had all the figures I want to use for scale purposes ready and able, and a Mountain Dew. So let's go over transformation. If you guys want to see me transforming these guys, I've done individual reviews on all of them, and honestly, if you can't transform him, there's something wrong with you, and you probably shouldn't be in this collection or in this field of collecting Transformers. Now, as far as transformation goes, I'm going to give a point right off the bat for the Seeker mold, the classic Seeker, because of the fact that, yes, he's a very simple Transformer. There's nothing there that's like really too like out there. But at the same time, when most people collect armies of these Seekers, that's the kind of transformation that they need. Is something real quick and simple that you can just flip around and make it work. Same with the Legends ones, to be honest. He's pretty simple too. And I'm not saying overly simple. They still have a couple twists and turns that are kind of ingenious for their size. So I'll give a point to both of them because, like I said, if you've got an army of these guys and you need to transform them from jet to robot real quick, you don't want to sit there and fiddle with things for a very long time. So for transformation, classics will get a point, and the Legends will get a point. Now, the Mastermind Creations one, I'm not going to give a point to. I'm not going to take a point away either. Mostly because of the fact that, yes, transformation is ingenious, but you're transforming it from something that doesn't make any sense to begin with. So you're basically just unfolding a robot from a crouching position. So he doesn't get a point because at this size and design, he should have a few more elements to the transformation, I think. Now, Aegir, his transformation is really nice, very ingenious. The arms are a little fidgety to get into his chest and such, and a couple other parts are just a little fidgety. But overall, the transformation is satisfying. It's not complex to the point where you're sitting there like, I don't want to transform this figure. So I'm going to give him a point as well. Now, as far as the Masterpiece one goes, I'm not giving him a point. I'm just not. When I was flipping all these guys into robot mode, it's like, did him real quick, did him, and did him, and then it's like, oh, now I have to do that. I actually almost shot this video in reverse, starting with robot mode, just so that I didn't have to transform that guy any more than I have to. Quite frankly, I always dread transforming figures like him because of the fact that, as I'm going, the wing came off and both the tail fins fell off and one of the null rays came off. That's just the design of the figure, so that they design it so that the pressure doesn't build up and break pieces, and that's nice. But at the same time, you have to parts form him and him, these two with the null rays, but you shouldn't have to reassemble the figure entirely, pretty much. I dread transforming this mold because of the fact that I'm afraid something's going to break. Some tolerances are a little bit tighter than they should be, like the head. That's got the spring-loaded gimmick right here, but when you're trying to fit it through the little back piece, it's a real tight fit, and I do not like that. And just overall, it's not something I'm really all that thrilled with doing. So he's not going to get a point for that. And the fact that things don't entirely lock together. He's kind of a, I don't want to say floppy mess, but he's not a stable figure. Now, moving on to the next section, posability. Posability for this little guy, nothing at the head, shoulders are on ball joints, elbows are at ball joints. Technically, the null rays can move around, but they also can come out, and you can actually port them into his hands if you wanted to. So, that works. Hips are on ball joints, knees are on swivels, and he's got a little bit of ankle tilt due to transformation. So that's nice. For his size, he's pretty posable. Kind of wish he had ball joints in his knees, though. Now, he is pretty much the same, almost the same posability, just moving up a scale. Head does swivel. It's a little restricted because of his nose cone on the back, but it does go left and right. Shoulders on universal swivel, so up and down and out. Bends at the elbow. No ball joint there. No rotation in the arm whatsoever. Hand does rotate in, but that's for transformation. As you can see, I'm having trouble keeping this guy together, but that's the mold. That's not that's this particular figure, not the mold. Because I've had many. I have the Ramjet that works a lot better. Hips are on ball joints, bends at the knee. There's the swivel right below the knee, and he's got a little bit of an ankle tilt due to transformation, but it can be used for posability. So that's nice. And now let's get into the real ones. The real figures. Mastermind's Creations. Head is on a ball joint. Gets a great range of motion there. Looks around, up, down. Gets a little hindered because there's just all this stuff in the way. But it does work. Shoulders are on ratchets up and down, in and out. Nice ratchets. He's got a nice deep bend on the elbow. His null race can rotate side to side if you need to. Bicep swivel. Elbow or hand is on a ball joint and a rocker, so he can go a little bit side to side, up and down, rotates all the way around. Not much more posability you really need in a hand for a figure this size. Waist is on a swivel. Hips, soft ratchet up and down, soft ratchet in and out. Swivels at the thigh, bends at the knee. Got a great bend at the knee. And then the foot, it's got a hinge and a hinge here and a ball joint here, so that gets a good range of motion, and this is on a hinge as well. The little heel spur. So great range of motion in this guy. He's a front runner for posability right there. Eye gear. His head is on a ball joint. Looks left, right, up, and down. The ball joint's a little stiffer, so it's a little bit harder to move it, but it does move. Shoulders are on a swivel up and down. Ratchets in and out. 2 points of bicep swivels, one below the null ray connector and one above it. So the null rays can actually move independently side to side. And since they're on that 5mm port, they can move around too. Double bend elbows. Hand is on a ball joint, so gets a decent range of motion. All the way around and up and down, stuff like that. He has a waist swivel, which, like Mastermind Creation, that's very rare for a Seeker mold to have the waist swivel. Hips up and down, in and out. It looks like there's supposed to be a ratchet in there, but I don't feel it clicking. Thigh swivel, double bend at the knee, which is a great bend there. Foot is on a, ball joint. And the heel is also on a ball joint, but because of the way it's designed, it doesn't get any side to side. It just kind of goes up and down. So, it might as well just be on a pin. So, all in all, great range of motion on him. Sunstorm here. Head is on a ball joint. There's also a pin in there to rotate it side to side. Shoulders ratchet up and down. There's a pin to go out. Bends at the or swivels at the bicep. Bends at the elbow. Double bend elbow. Hand rotates around. Thumb is on a ball joint. Index fingers on a ball joint, and then the rest of the fingers have ball joint form. There's a swivel or a bend at both the index finger and the rest of the fingers. Nothing really at the waist. Hips go up and down. They get hindered with a lot of the kibble that's everywhere. They go in and out. Swivels. He's got a bend at the knee. So there's that. Again, things get in the way. And the foot kind of rotates a little bit up here. Can kind of go in and out. So all in all, as far as posability goes, I'm... Let's see. I would say the ones that pull it off the best are the iGear and the Mastermind Creations. So those are going to be the ones I'm going to give the points to. As far as the rest of them go, I'm not going to take any points away because they are posable to the point of being good for their size, especially the classics and the legends. Now the Masterpiece one, he would definitely get a point, but because of the fact he's designed in a way that he actually gets, things get in the way of his posability, and that's really unfortunate because if those things were able to be moved a little to the side, stuff like that, then it would be a much more posable figure without it hindering. And I really don't think the index finger needs 2 points of articulation or the rest of the fingers. The rest of the Masterpiece, they have the one hinge for the whole hand, and the thumb is stationary. I think that would have been more than fine for him. There's a such thing as too posable when it comes to the hands. It's not taking anything away from him, but I'm not giving him a point because, like I said, stuff seems to get in the way. He does have a waist swivel, but the way things lock together to get him into robot mode, you cannot use the waist swivel. And that's, like I said, that's unfortunate. So I'm going to give a point to Mastermind and iGear. Bot mode. Who pulls off the bot mode the best? He just will not stand. I think depending on your personal preference on the style, I honestly have to say I think they all pull off the bot mode in their own way. Him and the Legends one's more of an IDW style design. Mastermind Creations is the more of the Hearts of Steel design. And the Masterpiece and the Classics are more G1 design. This also goes into the design point too. As far as bot mode goes, they all successfully pull off a bot mode. There's not one on here that I can say, okay, you fail at being a robot. There are some Transformers where the robot mode just doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to give them all a point for bot mode. As far as the design of them goes, again, they're all designed very well. We're looking at 3 different companies, and then 3 different scales in the one company. I think they all work on the design very well. They all pull off that Seeker vibe. When you look at them, you have to say, that's a Seeker. That's all you can say. Definitely these guys are Seekers. So I'm going to give them all a point in design. They all work for their own scales. Classics work in a very good design for the transformation and the robot design. It really works for this size, and that really works for that size, and that really works for that size, and that really works for that size, and that really works for Masterpiece. There's no argument there. As far as my next point, which is G1, quite frankly, it boils down, when it comes to G1 look, it boils down in between Masterpiece and the Classics. These guys are the only ones that I would put into a true G1 collection. My collection's kind of moving more towards IDW and just updated design looks. So that's why I have iGear stuff. But as far as the G1 look and design goes, it really boils down to these two. Now, with his original Null Rays, that's the one thing that throws him off. And this canopy sitting on the back. Not that he doesn't have a canopy sitting on his back. But, or him. They all do. The only one that actually successfully hides the nose cone is him, which is kind of sad. But he's got elements in him that do not look quite G1. You know, parts of his chest. I think the cockpit here is just a little too big for the rest of the body. I also think the feet are way wonky. But overall, he does pull off the look of the G1 Seeker pretty well. And so does he. Especially if you have the Guilty Hunger or Dr. Wu or Coronation Kit. There's like 5 different companies that made the null rays for this thing. But if you have those, it just looks so much better with them. But ultimately, I'm going to give a point to both Masterpiece and the Classic scale for the G1. So, I think they all really work in their own ways. I'm going to pause this for a second. Alright, and the final point is scale. So, let's talk scale for a minute. Now, I've already briefly mentioned the fact that if you take a Masterpiece car, you put it next to the Masterpiece Seeker, you know, obviously these things work pretty well in their scale, because they're both Masterpiece scale. Now, the problem with that is the fact that when they go into their alt mode, that car does not fit in scale with the jet. They just do not work in that scale, because the jet should be bigger, especially if you're looking at the Dr. Acaville minifigure that comes with him. Now, perhaps they made him too small, and they should have made the cockpit accommodate a bigger figure, but they didn't. So, you know, that's what I'm basing that off of. So scale is just out the window, just in general. But we're going to try and work with it. Now, here we got a Legends class, another one of the Legends class figures. You know, having them sit next to this Legends figure, that works. And they do have a whole line of Legends figures prior to the ones that came with the Target Masters that are actually smaller. So there's like a Bumblebee out there that's like this big. Yeah, there's a what's his name? Brawn, and there's a Wheelie, there's a Hot Rod that all come up to about right here on him. And then there's Megatron that would be the same height as him, and Optimus that would be the same height as him. Also, there's a Bumblebee, but well, yeah, whatever. There's also a Bumblebee that's shorter, and there's a Cliff Jumper that's shorter. So, I actually, and if you're going for like a scale that's a little bit more accurate with Metroplex, I would actually say his scale works for him, as long as you're sticking with the Legends class figures. This works for this guy, so I'm going to give him a point. I think he has his own scale that works very well. So let's get him out of the way. We're done with him for a moment. Now let's talk about the Classic Seeker. Now the Classic Seeker, you know, this is, you know, what a lot of people utilize. Now, going off of the Masterpiece Seeker to the Masterpiece car, which is, you know, what a lot of people say is a proper scale. I still don't think so. Well, let's get one of the Classics car, this being actually Smokescreen. So this is Smokescreen standing with the Classics Seeker mold, if he wants to stand. Come on, you can do it. You can stand. There we go. So he's about a head shorter than this car. So he doesn't even fit into the scale of which that they had built. for the Classics figures. Now, let's get the Classics Megatron in here. And we'll just set him right here. And he towers over the Seeker Mold. Seeker Mold comes up to about mid-chest. Now, I think he fits in scale perfectly with this car, but not so much with the Classic Seeker. Now, the Legends class guy here does kind of work with the Classic Seeker. So, I think I have to say that I'm not going to award a point to the Classic Seeker. Let's grab some other characters too, just to continue this. Here he is next to TFC's Scrapper, who you can see is also a head taller. So he's more in scale with the with the Classics cars, but not in scale with the Classic Seeker. And I know, he's not an official Hasbro figure, but he's not scaling with the official Hasbro figures anyway. And here's Hegemon. Who, as I said, they're within a millimeter of each other with the Classics Megatron. So, he doesn't work there either. So, there's no scale in which, that I own anyway, that I could safely sit here and say the Classics Seeker works in. Like I said, this guy kind of works with it, but not really. So we'll get him out of the way. Alright. Now let's talk about the Mastermind Creations Seeker Mold. And everything falls over. So here he is next to the Classics car. And as you can see, he's just about half a head taller. He's a lot wider, but he's about half a head taller. And that's a little bit more appropriate for the Seeker Mold. Again, and here he is with the TFC Scrapper, who again, he's about half a head taller, because he's actually just about the same exact height as Smokescreen there. So he actually fits into that scale a lot better than his Classics counterpart. Now, once you throw in like a Masterpiece car, who is the same height as this particular Seeker Mold, it's kind of starting to throw things off. So that doesn't quite work anymore. And then I'm going to take Classics Megs out, because we don't need him, since he's the same height anyway. And then when you throw him in there, he's about a head taller, it actually works really well in that scale. These guys scale very well together. So if you're looking for a Classics collection and you're not throwing in any kind of Masterpiece figures in there, then I think this would actually work very well. Let me grab a couple other figures I have here. Here's the Warbotron Blastoff, and as you can see, he's a little bit bigger. So now we're getting into this. The scale no longer works. And here is Galvatron, and the scale works for him. And last but kind of the least, here's with Faith Leader. It was just way too big. But at the same time, he kind of works with Blastoff. And so now we're getting into the, where he stops working. But overall, I think he does scale pretty well, as long as you're not trying to throw in Masterpiece or close to Masterpiece scale type figures. Once you do that, then you're throwing yourself out. So I'm going to give a point to Mastermind Creations Seeker Mold. So getting these guys out of the way. Set him over here, set him over here, set him over here. He's not wanting to stand today. Alright, let's talk Aegir. Mold scale. So here he is. And right off the bat, we'll go with Legends. So this does not work with Legends figures. I mean, not Insecticon anyway. The Autobot ones that are supposed to be the mini bots, I think that still works in this scale. So because he's a Seeker. They're bigger than the little cars. Let's see. Here he is with the Blastoff. As you see, he's about half a head taller than Blastoff, and that's about right. He should be bigger than Blastoff. And here he is with the Galvatron, and they are about the same height. I don't quite agree with that. Personally, I think Galvatron should be bigger, but he goes on a different display shelf because he's Season 3, and none of the Seekers survived to Season 3. Except for the Coneheads, but they were quickly dispatched by Ultra Magnus. Here he is next to the Hegemon. And as it is, Hegemon is taller than the Seeker mold. So that's a scale that actually works. And that's without his little feet plate things. So that works. That's a scale that's workable. Here he is next to the Faith Leader, who's a full head taller than the Seeker mold, and I actually would have to say that works too. I think he works better in the classics, like a larger classic scale, than he does in the smaller classic scale. So we'll set him off. Get these guys out of the way. And here he is with the Classics car. And this scale does work. So if you get the Classic cars, I think this would work. But more importantly, though, is if you're going for a little bit bigger and you throw in the Masterpiece car here, he's still a head shorter than the Aegir Seeker. So that still works for that scale. So I think he can work pretty well with either one of these guys. And more than anything, that's the main reason why I got the bigger Seekers, was because of the fact I wanted something that fit in the Masterpiece scale. Or something that allowed me to sneak in those bigger figures. And here is the Scrapper. Or Scavenger. Scrapper? No, Scrapper. Who is a little more than a head shorter than the Seeker mold. And I still think that works. Because he's just, he's part of a Combiner team, but when he's in robot mode here, he is a trooper. You know, just a regular Decepticon trooper. So I think he works there. So I'm going to give him a point because I do think he works very well in the scale of which, like, to throw the bigger figures into a Classics collection. Better than the Classic Seeker, because there's absolutely no way you can get the Classic Seeker into a bigger mold, bigger scale like that. It does not work. And the Masterpiece figure, I'm not going to show too much with them. I mean, the only way this guy is going to work, because he's, a head taller than the Aegir Seeker. The only way this guy is going to work is if you got a Masterpiece scale. So like figures like these guys, which I would one could argue the Warbotron guys are masterpiece scale. You could argue that, yes, he's in masterpiece scale. I would say only thing that he's going to scale with are masterpiece figures. But since he's a masterpiece figure in himself, it works very well. And just because I have him sitting here, and I want to throw him on here because this is what's coming up next on my next video, once I have time. And there they all are with the Mastermind Creations Predaking, who is just massive. Let's get everybody out of the way here. So yes, I will give a point to the Masterpiece one too, for scale. So pretty much the only one that did not get a point in scale was Classics. So scoot him back so that he's more flush with the Predaking here. You can see that he's almost twice the height as Sunstorm there, and he's just massive in compared to the Classic Seeker. And I think the scale that works the best with the combiners is the Legends class one, because the combiners were always so big that Starscream was sitting on Bruticus' shoulder in an episode. Bruticus was able to pick up Galvatron, or not Galvatron, but Shockwave, and use him as a handgun without him shrinking down. So that's going to be the best scale when it comes to the with the major combiners. So let's get him out of the way. It's a lot of work. I hope you guys appreciate this. So all in all, let's take a look at the scoreboard. Just kind of get these guys out of the way. So Masterpiece has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. I don't know how well you can see this, but he lost a point for the weapons. So he's at 4. Classics has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, 5 points, but he loses 1 because of weapons. So he's got 4 points. Mastermind Creations has 1, 2, 3, 4. But he loses 1 for the jet mode, because it's just ridiculous. So he has 3 points. Legends has 1, 2, 3, 4, with 1 minus. So he's got 3 points. And I'm not trying to be biased here. iGear has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. But he didn't lose any points for anything. Because, like I said, I'm not going to knock him for... Or I'm not going to make him lose a point because of his jet mode. It is an updated jet. So all in all, the winner of the Seeker War, in my opinion, is the iGear Raptors. And these things can fold down if you want them to. Give them a little bit more dynamics. You can do that if you wanted to. I don't know why you'd want to, but I kind of like it just like that. Anyway, so ultimately, if you're going for a bigger scale, I think this is probably your best option. Unless you're going Masterpiece, which obviously the Masterpiece is your best option. Legends works really well with the Metroplex and the combiners, as I said. And then this guy, I really like the scale on him, but because the design is so not G1, quite frankly, I should take a point away because he's so far beyond not classic style. Frankly, the scale is the only reason why he's in this competition, and the fact that I have him. If Yeah, I probably shouldn't have included him at all, but oh well. He was here. He was fun. He's a great figure, but he just really does not fit in at all with that. So there you go. There's the Secret War.